Hi, I'm Helen and this is my channel Helen Explains, where usually I make videos on anti-racism, intersectional feminism, LGBTQIA topics and politics. This video is a little bit different, but I really wanted to do it because I wanted to find common ground with the people who went on the Unite the Kingdom march. I really wanted to explore what they were saying. I watched a load of interviews with people who were on that march and just kind of listened to what they were saying, wrote a load of notes and realise that actually there's a few things where we do agree. There is common ground. There is kind of a shared frustration and anger towards the state of this country. So here's my list of 5 things that the left and the right can actually agree on.
Now that's a sentence I never thought I'd say.
Number 1, the state of the country has been run into the ground. Yeah, I think we can pretty much all agree with that. The state of the country 100% has been run into the ground. We've had Tories ruling the country and governing the country since 2010. That's 14 years of a Tory government who has only been acting in their own self-interest and the interests of the rich and billionaires. Public services have been slashed, funding has been cut, there's been the privatisation of loads of services like the NHS, like the railways. The cost of living is going up, house prices are soaring, people's wages are not going up. It is being run into the ground. Number 2, taxpayer money should be spent sensibly. Yep, again, 100% agree with this. Taxpayer money should be spent sensibly. We need to put it into more services, more communities, more libraries. We need to put it into the arts, like to inspire creativity, to enrich people's lives. Potholes in the street, like more lamp posts, all these little things that improve everyone's quality of life. Bins being emptied, taxpayer money should be spent more sensibly. And the best way to do this would be to tax the rich. Just a small kind of fraction of their tax going up would create such an impact and it makes such a dent in this country's services. It would be phenomenal. Number 3, government does not represent working class people. Again, completely agree with this. It's currently lining the back pockets of the rich. It's privatised the NHS. It's sold off portions of the NHS and services that should be public. It's just not fighting for the everyday person. And I completely understand that frustration and feel that frustration. And I think that frustration is shared across the majority of people who aren't, super rich and billionaires. Number 4, we're seeing people locked up, seeing people censored. This statement on its own, yes, I agree with it. Have you seen the fact that nearly 1,000 people are being arrested for literally holding a placard? I mean, it's your granny in her 80s sitting on the side, reading a book, playing some chess, and then she's getting arrested. It's priests, it's disabled people. These are the people who are being deemed terrorists and are being censored and are not being allowed their right to protest peacefully. These are the people who are being censored and locked up. Unfortunately, what this comment means is they mean people being censored for hate speech, not free speech. There has been quite a number of people who have been arrested or locked up for inciting hate. When they are targeting a specific group of people or a person or inciting violence, that is hate speech. That is illegal. That's going to get you arrested. So this one maybe was a bit of a stretch. Kind of partially agree, but agree for different reasons. And the 5th and final point that I do agree with is women and children are not safe. If you could just leave it there, women and children are not safe, I would 100% agree. The problem is people go on to say the threat is immigrants and asylum seekers. We need to protect our women and children from immigrants and asylum seekers because the streets are not safe. No, that's not really the case. There's no scientific data that says that immigrants who come here, who are refugees seeking asylum, are coming here for sexual violence. It's been completely misconstrued. The threat is so much closer to home. The threat is living in your house. The threat is down the road. The real threat is men. The real threat is the men at home. The real threat is men in neighbourhoods who know these women and children. It is often someone they knew. It is rarely a case of a stranger. In Gina Martins' book, No Offence But, she has a load of essays written by sort of guest writers. There's 2 people who write an essay, They're Really Just Illegal Migrants, by Mariam, Kemple, who is the head of campaigns at Refugee Action, and Azadeh Hosseini, who is the communication and engagement officer at Refuge Action. She's also a refugee from Iran, where she was a journalist. Azadeh talks about the phrase of illegal migrants and how damning it is. She then goes on to say, perhaps the phrase is a not so subtle excuse to ignore reality. Maybe, in the words of the writer and civil rights activist James Baldwin, people who use it cling to hate because they know that once the hate is gone, they will be forced to deal with the pain. She says that in regards to talking about illegal migrants, but I think that phrase can be applied to any walk of life. Parties like Reform UK and politicians like Nigel Farage are stirring hate by blaming the migrants, blaming trans people, and saying the problems are those people over there, when really the problems are those people up there, the billionaires, the rich people, the politicians themselves. Okay, so that includes my 5 things that I found I could agree with people on the Unite the Kingdom rally. I think maybe it was a bit of a stretch trying to find common ground. I think fundamentally the one thing we can all agree on is the country is broken and the government aren't doing enough to fix it. That, I think, is the underpinning message that I think we all need to unite on. We all need to recognise that we need to tax the wealthy. We all need, even a fraction just to put into public services to improve our state of living. What I got from these people was the unfairness, the anger, the frustration they felt at being pushed to one side and being forgotten about and having a worse quality of life. Refugees are not to blame, immigrants are not to blame, trans people are not to blame, politicians and the government is to blame. Thanks very much for watching my video. This is my channel Helen Explains. I do loads of videos on kind of intersectional feminism, anti-racism and politics. I'm really trying to break down terminology, really lay it out in kind of quite a plain and simple way so it's easy to understand. And I also read a fair amount of books and really like talking about them, summarising them and kind of recommending why you should read them. Thanks, see you later.